So Caitlin Clark yesterday was arguing with referees, and as expected, yeah, they're trying to get her banned. They're trying to get Caitlin Clark suspended. It is genuinely, they're trying to.
Some rival supporters have expressed frustration, calling for Caitlin Clark to face consequences for speaking to referees while injured. But is this professional basketball or a high school theater production? Clark is a key representative of her team and will, of course, continue to play an active role. However, there is a perception among some that the league views her not just as a talented athlete, but as a controversial figure. Why does Caitlin Clark spark such strong reactions?
That was not underneath the basket. That was hard to see. The back. She had her back to her. It was in the open area. At least two of the refs, if not three of them, should have seen that foul. Caitlin pointed to it. They still didn't blow their...
Let's set the record straight. Hope and KT tape is likely keeping Caitlin Clark together as she limps about on one healthy leg. Somehow, opposing supporters determine she should be suspended at that point. For what purpose? For conversing with the referees? Are you brave enough to continue playing a game like all the other famous athletes in professional sports history? Is that a crime now? Is it the new flag foul to be Caitlin Clark on the court?
They're trying to get her suspended. And by the way, this is coming from the same people that try to get her kicked out of the league. So, there is a tweet going semi-viral right now. And by the way, there's a lot more. There is a lot more tweets in this. This is just the one that I've seen. And this is just a funny...
When rival fan bases, the league, and the media decide they are allergic to excellence, this is what occurs. Whether someone likes it or not, the headline is about Caitlin Clark. Thousands of new fans are watching the WNBA because of her. The arena in Indiana no longer sounds like a church bingo night because of her. However, rather than rejoicing in that, opposing supporters are clamoring for her to be disciplined for taking part.
But more importantly, do you guys love the WNBA or do you just love Caitlin Clark? We're going to take a deep dive on that because when she got hurt, I was like, well, that's part of sports. She's an athlete. She's going to get hurt. Oh, but the sky started to fall when Caitlin Clark.
Have you ever seen LeBron James hobbling up and down the court while yelling plays and conversing with the referees? Has anybody suggested suspending him? Was there a push to bench Diana Taurasi when she went into full alpha mode and yelled at referees for half of her career? So why does Caitlin Clark always talk to referees while she's doing the most routine task? Abruptly, it turns into a crime against humanity. Where is the same level of enthusiasm for all other players?
Literally, so in the last 10 days, has called for Caitlin Clark to be investigated for fraud, tagging the WNBA. And again, do you want to know what the funniest thing about all of this is? Is that I would think nothing of this if it wasn't for the fact that WNBA have literally opened an investigation based on Twitter. Well, almost certain.
The WNBA seems focused on one player who's brought 25% more attention to the league, Caitlin Clark. Since entering, every game she plays is must-watch. Yet the response? Silence and indifference. She's treated like a target, while others get away with rough play and trash talk. Why is she held to a different standard, expected to be flawless in every way? It feels less like fairness and more like fear.
Caitlin Clark is driving the WNBA insane. It's to the point that she may need to step away from the WNBA, have a billionaire come in that has the money to prove a point, and say, Caitlin, I'll pay you $50 million just to see if the WNBA can make it without you. Let's go create a completely different league and expose the hell out of the
The league feels like who wants to humble Caitlin Clark? It's not about fairness, it's fear. She's changing the game, and that makes people uncomfortable. So they twist her actions into controversy, painting her as entitled just for leading or speaking up. Why? Because brilliance scares them.
Okay, to come on the floor and argue the ref. I can guarantee you the commissioner will think nothing is wrong since it's Clark. And in the last week, that same person has tweeted this. And she was the original person that made the viral tweet. With 1.7 million views, saying you need to take a closer look at why Clark was pressuring her coach to be let back in the game when they were up over 20 points. It resulted in Dave Portnoy placing a bet. It resulted from...
Let's talk about the WNBA. If the league had any sense of self-preservation, Caitlin Clark would have security, protection on the court, and refs who actually make calls. Instead, she's getting blindsided, knocked down, and penalized for simply reacting like any normal player. No texts, no ejections, no public support, just calculated silence. Now imagine if she were the one dishing out a hard screen and walking away. There'd be press conferences, media outrage, and endless slow-motion replays. But when it happens to her, nothing. As if her talent, safety, and impact don't matter at all.
But what has happened since Caitlin Clark has gotten hurt? Now, it's pretty tough to talk about the viewership because she just got hurt, so the TV ratings haven't come all the way in. But there are some indicators out there, such as there were ticket prices for the next Fever versus Sky matchup. And guess what? They dropped by 71% right after the news of her injury. And then they're talking about the growth of the WNBA, how it's supposed to be unprecedented this year. But now that will come to a halt as well, just because of a 2-week injury to Caitlin Clark. Okay, so I've been on here on record saying that it's all about Caitlin Clark for me. And every time I say that, I know the resistance, I know the forces in the headwind against me. You may feel the same way. I hate this world where you just can't.
So here's the obvious question. Does the WNBA actually want to grow? Because the way it's treating Caitlin Clark, the player driving sold-out arenas, record ratings, and surging merch sales, feels more like middle school politics than pro sports. The message is clear. She's seen as a threat to the status quo. And instead of protecting her, the league is handing out brass knuckles to anyone who wants to send a message. How much more does she have to take? Elbows, blindsides, cheap shots, before someone with real power steps in. This isn't competitiveness anymore. It's targeted harassment. It's not gritty, it's petty. And if the WNBA doesn't course correct fast, it'll lose the biggest opportunity it's ever had.
We know what she brings to the table. But people wanted to hate because why? You had a bunch of players in this league that watched this young white girl come along and take the league by storm. And they resented it because they saw the marketing prowess that she had. They ignored the fact that you got chartered flights because of this girl. They ignored the fact that ratings were going through the roof because of this girl. Instead, they resented it because they said, yo, we were doing stuff long before Caitlin Clark got here. And y'all wasn't paying attention then. But now the young white girl comes along and y'all want to sit up there and shower all of this praise and all of this attention that was earned before she ever came along. The resentment is understandable, but it's not about Caitlin Clark. It's about what she represents. My point is, grow up. Who cares? If you're Magic and Bird, that didn't stop Jordan from coming along and doing what he...
Let's revisit the so-called controversy. Caitlin Clark spoke to officials while injured. That's the scandal. That's what sparked calls for suspension. Fans flooded social media like it was Watergate, demanding punishment. Many of them likely cheered her on, just last week when she dropped 30 points on their team. It's obsession disguised as outrage. Are they even hearing themselves? She's being criticized for leading her team through pain, something every great player does. So why is it inappropriate only when she does it? Is it her confidence? Her composure under pressure? Her success? If you're upset about behavior that's standard for other athletes, don't call it about equality or sportsmanship. Call it what it is.
WNBA, they're having troubles with tickets now because I think Caitlin Clark is out for what? How many weeks is she out? She's rolled out for the June 7th game. That's when she was supposed to meet up with Angel Reese again. And Chicago Sky, and there's a massive drop in ticket sales. This is after the take foul that she had on Reese and ended with a shove, and she got a flagrant foul, and they gave Reese and the other chick a foul. And I don't know, I guess she has a left quad strain. She's gonna miss
at least 4 games is what they're saying.
Yeah, okay. And the fourth and final of those games is the game against Sky. And so they said after her injury was announced, so check this out. The game on June 7th, the tickets were originally $86.
This goes beyond Caitlin Clark. It's about a society that penalizes women for being assertive, dominant, and competitive, especially when they're young, popular, and unafraid to take the spotlight. Suddenly, the rules change. Expectations rise, and the judgment becomes harsher. Meanwhile, where's the league? Are they blind? Complicit? The WNBA has a chance to stand for fairness and consistency, but instead, they let the mob run wild as their biggest star is taken down, both physically and symbolically. And the worst part, Caitlyn hasn't done anything wrong. She hasn't lashed out, cursed, or refused interviews. She simply played hard, performed flawlessly, and promoted the league better than anyone. Yet she remains the biggest threat.
Can we be clear about this? If Caitlin Clark were not in the WNBA, we would not be talking about the WNBA. She is the only ticket draw in the WNBA. A large percentage of all tickets sold in the WNBA are so people can watch Caitlin Clark play basketball.
What does this all mean? When people have already decided they want you to fail, doing everything perfectly isn't enough. They'd accuse Caitlin Clark of buying headlines, even if she gave half her earnings to charity. They'd say she's fishing for sympathy, even if she apologized for getting hurt. She can't win with this crowd. The goalposts aren't just moving, they're in another stadium. So the real question is, how long will Caitlyn have to carry this league on her shoulders while those who benefit see her as a problem? When will the WNBA stand up and protect its biggest star? Because without her, ratings will drop, attendance will fall, and the national buzz will vanish, leaving only reality TV reruns. Ironically, the same fans who bought tickets to see her play are the ones calling for her suspension. They can't stop clicking her name, fueling the league's exposure while trying to tear her down. Caitlin Clark isn't just playing basketball, she's playing a masterclass in publicity. And the league isn't compensating her nearly enough for
this. Obviously, Caitlin Clark is a competitor and wants to play. Obviously, everyone wants to watch her play, but for me, it's about making sure we address this in a way that doesn't affect her long term.
Sounds totally reasonable. I think obviously she's instrumental to what that team does. She's very important to the league at large as
If the league wants to grow, it must protect its biggest star. Stop treating Caitlin Clark like a problem just because she shines. Enforce the rules, respect her talent, and stop the silence when she's targeted. She's not the issue. Some just can't handle her spotlight. Keep ignoring the hits she takes, and don't be surprised when her fans start following her elsewhere.
Next, Indiana Fever versus Chicago Sky game. June 7th, I believe. That's going to be on CBS as well. You think that's going to draw 2.7? I can assure you it won't. You think that's going to draw over 2 million? I can assure you that won't. Over 1 million views, 1 to 1.5 might be the ballpark for that Chicago Sky Indiana Fever game. But if it's anything under 1 million, then people turned off in record numbers. If this next Chicago Sky Indiana Fever game on CBS does anything less than 1 million, people turned off in...
This is the reality. They're too afraid to speak up. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player, she's the WNBA's whole story right now. She's why record crowds are watching, buying tickets, and talking about the league. She's at the center of the buzz and energy. And no matter how much they try to silence or suspend her, she won't disappear. Not because she talked to a referee while hurt, but because she makes people uncomfortable. The system panics when a young woman enters confidently with talent and a huge spotlight. Suddenly, everything she does is scrutinized, every word a controversy. But Caitlin isn't here to shrink to make others comfortable. She's changing the game, here to play and win. You can try to ignore it all you want, but the fans' cheers say it loud and clear, Caitlin Clark is here to stay.